Come through the sky, Christopher Daniels, Frankie Zay, collectively known as SoCal Uncensored or
SCU. This is Catch, Hook, and Shoot, the worst podcast I've ever been on. Word.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Catch, Hook, and Shoot, the best podcast you never heard of. My name's Tom. I am your host. Today is Sunday, November the 21st, and Survivor Series just ended as I'm recording this, and yeah, we'll get into that in a little bit, but I want to thank everybody for listening, watching, and subscribing on YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from. Make sure you check out CatchHookShoot.com. You can find all the podcasts, all the videos, all the interviews, the photo gallery, the CHS shop, and all that kind of good stuff. Head to ProWrestlingTees.com/CatchHookShoot for t-shirts you won't find on CatchHookShoot.com. And you can find all that and a whole lot more on our Linktree, which is Linktree/CatchHookShoot, or you can scan this little QR code right here in the corner of your screen. And if you ever want to shoot me an email, it's catchhookshoot@gmail.com. So let's get into the reviewing the three big events that happened this week: WWE Survivor Series, MLW's War Chamber, and also Impact's Turning Point. But before we get into that, let's kick things off like we always do with our lead story. So the lead story this week, again, more WWE releases. This time, John Morrison, Top Dollar, Ashanti the Adonis, Isaiah Swerve Scott. So all of Hit Row now is gone from WWE. Just unbelievable. Tegan Knox, Drake Maverick, Shane Thorne, and Jackson Riker all released this past week. I mean, Hit Row was literally just brought up to Smackdown in the draft, and then first they get rid of the only woman in the group, B-Fab, and then, you know, a week later, 2 weeks later, they get rid of the other three. It makes no sense. I don't get it. John Morrison, arguably one of the best in wrestling over the last 10 years, you know, has wrestled everywhere from AAA to Impact to Lucha Underground, and has thrived, and WWE can't figure out what to do with him? Are you kidding me? You know what? I'm going to get into more of this a little bit later in the show, but yeah, more releases from WWE, and of course their standard excuse, budget cuts. I think that's the part that gets me more than anything else, is they always use the budget cuts excuse, which to me is just a blatant lie. I'm sorry. It's a cop-out. You know, just be honest and say, you know what, we don't know what to do with you guys. You don't fit the direction that we want to go, so we can't use you. I mean, you know, I can at least respect honesty, but this is just completely senseless. So it is what it is. It's WWE. That's what they do. You know, and I think Tommy Dreamer said it best on Busted Open Radio a while back. He's like, unless your name is The Undertaker or Shawn Michaels, you're going to get released. That's just the way it is. You know, that's the nature of the beast. That's pro wrestling. People, you know, get released, or contracts expire, things like that. It's a business. I get it. The thing that gets me is the bullshit excuse that WWE uses with their whole budget cuts thing, because that's a load of crap as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, I'm going to leave that alone for the moment. We'll get into a little bit more fun stuff to talk about, and we're going to start that off with the match of the week. Alright, so this week's match of the week comes from AEW Dynamite, and it was the debut of Jay Lethal, the in-ring debut of Jay Lethal, taking on Sammy Guevara for the TNT Championship. Just a phenomenal match between these two guys, but, I mean, you would expect nothing less. Jay Lethal, like I said about John Morrison, one of the best of, the last 10, 15 years or so. And, former Ring of Honor champion, and just a lot of accolades to his credit. And, making his AEW debut in a TNT Championship match, and him and Sammy Guevara just tore the house down as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah, like I always say, if you're going to watch one match this week, Jay Lethal versus Sammy Guevara from AEW Dynamite this past Wednesday. So let's get into some more highlights of the week, some more good stuff going on in the world of pro wrestling, and we're going to do that in the 3 count. All right, first up on the 3 count from Turning Point, Impact's event this past weekend, the former Bronson Reed, now known as Jonah, made his debut and basically took out Josh Alexander, just beat the hell out of him during an in-ring promo. So apparently Jonah now is a part of Impact. Number 2 on the 3 count, the face-to-face between Bryan Danielson and Hangman Page. Yeah, just a lot of back and forth between the two. Had a little bit of a pull apart, and it almost looks like we're seeing a little bit of a heel turn from Bryan Danielson, which is kind of cool. I like him as a heel. I liked him as a heel in WWE. I don't think it'll have the comedy elements in AEW that it had in WWE. I think it'll be much more serious Bryan Danielson that we see if he is in fact turning heel. I mean, it could just be. They're just setting up the rivalry between him and Hangman because Danielson is the number 1 contender right now. So, be interesting to see where this goes, if we're going to see a true heel turn from Danielson, or is he just going to kind of have a little bit more of an edge to him with this rivalry starting up with Hangman Page. And number 3 on the 3 count, another face-off in AEW, CM Punk and MJF. Now, this is a rivalry that I know people are dying to see simply because of the promos that are going to happen. I mean, these are 2 of the best ever on the microphone. And obviously that's my opinion. There's a lot of people that still aren't, still will downplay MJF's prowess on the mic. But, Punk and MJF, the match is going to be great, and the build to the match is going to be outstanding. And, I mean, Punk didn't even say a word in this face-to-face between these two. It was MJF in the ring, running his mouth, saying he should be the next AEW champion. There's nobody in the back that can measure up to him. And, of course, out came Punk, had a little bit of a stare down. MJF actually tried to shake his hand, and Punk laughed in his face, turned, and walked away. That spoke volumes without saying a word. So that right there kicked off what could be one of the best rivalries of the year. So, and I'm sure it's going to carry into next year as well. So I can't wait to see how this one is going to play out. So let's get into the goings on this week. Like I said, we had 3 big events, and I mentioned last week when there's pay-per-views and stuff like that, the shows are going to focus on those pay-per-views. So this week we had actually 3 major events. Let's start off with the MLW War Chamber. Now, they did record several weeks of TV during this event, but the only one that has been shown so far is the War Chamber match itself. So that's all I'm going to talk about right now, because I don't do spoilers or that kind of thing. So I'm just going to talk about the War Chamber event, and that was Alexander Hammerstone's team, known as the Hammerheads, taking on Contra Unit. Now, Contra Unit consisted of Ikuro Kwan, Jacob Fatu, Mads Kruger, and 2 soldiers, basically, taking on Alexander Hammerstone, EJ Nduka, Richard Holiday, Savio Vega, and a mystery partner. That mystery partner was introduced by Cesar Duran at the beginning of the match. Now, the first out for Contra was Jacob Fatu, and first out for the Hammerheads was this mystery partner, like I said, introduced by Cesar Duran. Turned out to be Matanza Duran, known as Matanza Cueto in Lucha Underground, who is Jeff Cobb. So, the War Chamber started off with Jeff Cobb versus Jacob Fatu. Think about that for a minute, okay? And that was just, the beginning of the match. It was those 2 monsters in there beating the hell out of each other. But in the end, Hammerstone's team did win the match by submission. Hammerstone got Kwan to tap out to the torture rack submission hold. And we saw a lot of dissension among Contra units, specifically between Jacob Fatu and Mads Kruger during this match. A lot of miscues, stuff like that. And that all came to a head after the match. And Jacob Fatu basically beat the hell out of every Contra unit member within sight, including Mads Kruger and Akuru Kwan. So looks like Contra unit is pretty much done. I'm going to be interested to see where this is going to go in the coming weeks on MLW TV. So definitely keep an eye on that. But yeah, Alexander Hammerstone's team was victorious in the War Chamber match. And something interesting about this now, in the past, the War Chamber match has basically been War Games. 2 rings surrounded by a cage. This was just 1 ring. And it was, so you had 5-on-5 in a cage in 1 ring with a referee and a camera guy in there, so it was very crowded, but it was a very cool match. So I would definitely say to check that one out. Then we had Impact's Turning Point event this week, and there were a lot of matches on this show. Finjuice defeated Raj Singh and Rohit Raju. Jordan Grace retained the Digital Media Championship against Chelsea Green. Chris Sabin defeated Ace Austin. Violent by Design, Eric Young and Joe Doring defeated Heath and Rhino. Not really a big surprise there. Violent by Design just seems to be super dominant in Impact, and you know, Heath and Rhino, I don't know. I mean, I'd like to see them get a victory. I'd like to see somebody get a victory over Violent by Design. They just seem to be running roughshod over anybody they get in the ring with, but they've yet to capture any championships. So I'm wondering where all that's leading to. Rich Swan defeated VSK. W. Morrissey got the win over Matt Cardona, and Cardona came to the ring, looked like he was wearing Effie's jacket. Kind of interesting there. Now I know that's, you know, been a bit of a rivalry on the indies and also on social media. So you know, Cardona kind of playing that one up a little bit. The Inspiration defeated Decay to retain the Knockouts Tag Team Championship. Trey Miguel got the win over Laredo Kid and Steve Macklin to retain the X Division title. Mickey James retained the Knockouts Championship against Mercedes Martinez. I'm hoping we see a lot more Mercedes Martinez in Impact. You know, she definitely fit into their women's division very, very well. So I'm hoping she's going to be a mainstay with Impact. The Good Brothers retained the tag team titles against the Bullet Club, Chris Bay and Hikaleo. And Moose defeated Eddie Edwards to retain the Impact World Championship. And now Survivor Series, which, like I said, just ended as I started recording this. WWE's gotten very predictable. I hate to say it. No, I don't hate to say it because it's been that way for a little while. But WWE has gotten very predictable. No real surprises here. You know, exactly who you would think would win all these matches are the ones who won. Shinsuke Nakamura defeated Damian Priest by disqualification. Priest went after Rick Boogs at ringside, broke up his guitar, and then hit Nakamura with the broken piece of guitar to get disqualified. Becky Lynch defeated Charlotte in the women's champion versus champion match. In the men's 5-on-5 Survivor Series match, Seth Rollins was the sole survivor for Team Raw. Interesting to note in this one, Kevin Owens actually walked out on Team Raw right at the beginning of the match. Like, he wanted to start the match, the bell rang, and he left and took the count out. So they're still kind of teasing a heel turn with Kevin Owens, which not a real big surprise. You know, Kevin Owens has been back and forth almost as much as the Big Show at this point. But, you know, we'll see what happens. I mean, it's not like he had a rivalry against a specific person that he was walking out on. He just walked out on Team Raw. So I guess we'll probably find out more on that one tomorrow. They had a 25-man battle royal to basically honor The Rock's 25th anniversary. He debuted 25 years ago at the Survivor Series, so they had a battle royal in his honor. Of course, The Rock was not there, and apparently this battle royal was sponsored by Pizza Hut because there was a bunch of pizzas in the entryway, and the Street Profits came out carrying a Pizza Hut box and were throwing pizza out to the crowd, and I don't know it, whatever. But Almost won that battle royal. Again, no big surprise. Biggest guy in the match wins the battle royal. It did get down to Almost and Ricochet, though. They let you think for a half a second that Ricochet might win, but of course, you know, Almost got the victory. In the tag team champion versus champion match, RK Bro got the win over the Usos. The women's 5-on-5 match, Team Raw won again, with Bianca Belair being the sole survivor this time. On the SmackDown side of that one, we did see a little bit more of the friction between Shotzi Blackheart and Sasha Banks come out. They, went after each other a couple of times, and but yeah, so because it actually got down to 4-on-1 for Bianca Belair, and she won the match, got the final pinfall over Shotzi Blackheart. And then the men's champion versus champion match, Roman Reigns got the win over Big E. Again, not a big surprise. It was a pretty good match, though. A lot of back and forth. Big E did look very strong. It wasn't just like a squash match where Roman just dominated Big E the whole time. So it was a good match. I would have liked to have seen Big E get the win, but Roman is the number one guy in WWE right now, so that they're not going to have him take a loss to anybody. So, I mean, he's coming off of a victory over Brock Lesnar, so they're not going to have him take a loss to Big E, unfortunately, because I think, I just think a Big E victory there would have been, it would have made the crowd happy. I can tell you that, but not to be this time. So. That is that breaks down the Survivor Series there. Interesting note out of New Japan this week. I just wanted to mention we found out that there's Wrestle Kingdom is going to be 3 nights this year, and the third night of Wrestle Kingdom is going to be New Japan versus Noah. So that should make for some interesting matchups, and definitely going to be keeping an eye on that to see what those matchups are going to be. So that's going to do it for the breakdown of the pay-per-views for this week. So right now I'm going to throw it over to Charlie G, and he's here with the Indie Cut.
Thank you, Tom, and hey, the wrestling friends. I'm Charlie G with this week's Indie Cut. And once again, highly evident since business has been picking up, you might say. We began with Saturday, November 13th, where there were 50 shows from around the world. From Japan, Australia, Germany, Finland, Hungary, Italy, Scotland, England, Canada, Puerto Rico, and of course, the United States. Go to Noah Demolition Stage 2021 in Yokohama. For the GHC Junior Heavyweight title, champion Hayata defeated Lehigh. For the GHC National title, Kanoi defeated champion Masaki Mochizuki to become the champion by KO. And for their tag team titles, Kenji Muto and Namichi Marufuji defeated champions Kaito Kiyomiya and Masa Kitamiya to become new champions. And what I heard was an awesome match, so check that out if you can. New Japan Pro Wrestling started Best in the Super Juniors. 28, as I might see. So if you're into New Japan, you will have wrestling every single day between Super Juniors and Tag League, which started the next day. So they go back and forth. So check that out as you wish. Ice Ribbon, new Ice Ribbon, 1157. For the Triangle Ribbon title, Maika Ozaki defeated champion Rina Singaki and Totoro Satsuki to become new champion. For the Fantasia Ice title, number one contendership, and World Underground Wrestling Women's title, Kane Fujita defeated champion Tekla to become the champion. And for the Ice Infinity title, Tsukushi Haruka defeated Tsukasa Fujimoto to become new champion. Sorry if I keep on destroying those names. All Japan Pro Wrestling started their Real World Tag League as well. But this in a regular tag match, I thought this was pretty cool. Super Crazy and Tajiri. ECW Day is back. Defeated Asuki Aogi and Rising Hayata. So that had to be pretty cool. We had to Progress Chapter 125, Castle of Illusion from London, England. Kid Lycos defeated LJ Cleary. For the Progress Revolutions of Divine Love semifinal match, Mercedes Blaze defeated Alexis Falcon. For the Progress Unified World Title, champion Cara Noir defeated Nick Riley. And for the Progress Unified World Title #1 contendership match, Gene Mummy defeated Big Guns Joe, Ethan Allen, Kid Lycos II, LK Mazinger, and Man Like DeReiss. DeReiss, yeah. So I see Progress more in action. Back here in the States, we go to New Japan Strong, episode 66, Showdown Day 2. Alex Zane defeated Ari Daivari. Fred Rosser and Rocky Romero defeated Danny Limelight and Tom Lawler. That's pretty cool. Jay White defeated Fred Yaihai. And Minoru Suzuki defeated Chris Dickinson. So, of course, that was taped because it was also New Japan Battle in the Valley from San Jose, California, live on Fight TV. This was after Full Gear, so if you're into more wrestling, this is the end of your night pretty much. Josh Alexander defeated Yu Uemura. Bateman and Mysterioso defeated Brody King and Chris Dickinson. In this match, Dickinson dislocated his leg from his hip while trying to do the frog splash dedicated to Eddie Guerrero. He missed and landed wrong. Well, he didn't miss, he just landed wrong. He was hurt immediately, you could tell, tagged out, somehow and got back in. He will be out for about 6 months. Last I saw, he's already kind of walking around. He maced the doctors already, so it may be 6 months or less, depending how things go. But all the best to Chris. He was doing really well, and Ring of Honor going under, pretty much losing a steady paycheck. This is gonna hurt a little bit. It's going to go to 10-man tag. Alex Coughlin, Alex Zane, David Finley, Fred Rosser, and Rocky Romero. Defeating Team Filthy of Danny Limelight, Corral Nelson, J.R. Krotos, Royce Isaacs, and Tom Lawler. Clark Connors and Carl Fredericks defeated Jeff Cobb and TJP. Of course, pinning TJP. Will Ospreay defeated Ben Rita. And a really good match there. Moose defeated Juice Robinson. It was alright. By this time, I was kind of tired of wrestling, even though I didn't have to watch all Full Gear. Okada defeated Buddy Matthews. Now, this was a good match. I enjoyed it immensely. Check that out if you can. And then for the Never Openweight title, Tomohiro Ishii defeated champion Jay White. In a rather lengthy match. It could probably cut a little shorter, but nonetheless, great show by them in the States. Hopefully they can do more. And there's a lot more talent out there to get. So stay tuned. We go down to New Texas Pro Wrestling, Dallas 41 from Dallas, Texas on IWTV. For the New Texas Pro Lone Star title, Pure Rules match, champion Max Heights defeated Chandler Hopkins. For the New Texas Pro Women's title and Ring of Honor Women's World title match, champion Roxy defeated Trish Adora, retaining her titles, of course. And for the New Texas Pro title Monsters Ball match, champion Brian Keith defeated Calvin Tankman. To Midwest All-Star Wrestling Grand Slam number 3 from Oakdale, Minnesota on Fight TV as well. Yeah, Saturday, like I said, a lot of wrestling on Saturday. And very viewable. For the SDW Northern States title, champion Garrison Creed defeated Derek Stone. Ken Anderson was back in action, defeating Rampage Santana. Heidi Howitzer and Maxton Paler defeated Heather Monroe and Ray Lynn. Delilah Doon defeated Lady Luck. Paul Verk defeated Too Cold Scorpio. For the Women of Nations Cup match, Misa Kate defeated Maserati. And in the main event, it was Jerry the King Lawler defeating the System. So Jerry the King has been in action 2 weeks in a row. Great for him, right? To Limitless Prize Possession from Maine. For Limitless World Title, Alec Price defeated champion Anthony Green to become the champion. So Alec Price seems to be the go-to guy these days, and he's all right. He's not growing on me, but he's been in a lot of matches, and he's pretty good. But just not my style. To North Pro Wrestling from Moncton, New Brunswick, Canada. Their Massacre show for the NPW heavyweight title in a 3-way match. PCO defeated Channing Decker and Dick Durning to become champion. So PCO, pretty much done with Ring of Honor, is already in Canada winning titles. Nice job. And finally, head to International Wrestling Association Puerto Rico Impacto Total show. Savio Vega defeated El Wizard. So, first time saying the show from there. It's pretty good. On to Sunday, November 14th, Stardom Gods of Stardom Tag League Day 7, the final show. So we'll start with the B block matches. Hanan and Rina, who finally got 2 points, defeated Mai Sakurai and Unagi Sayaka, who had 4. Hazuki and Kaguma have 7, defeating Fukigen Death and Saki Kashima, who had 4. Sai Kamatani and Yutami Hayashita have 7, defeating Himeka and Natsupoi, who had 6. So Himeka and Natsupoi almost won the B block there. So for the B block tiebreaker match, it was Hazuki and Kaguma defeating Sai Kamatani and Yutami Hayashita. All these matches were pretty awesome. Go to the A block, and we got Mina Surikawa and Tam Nakano with 3, defeating Lady C and Waka Tsukiyama, who of course had 0. Ruaka and Starlight Kid, who have 6, defeated Micah and Siri by DQ. They had 7. And then we also had Azumi and Momo Watanabe with 7, defeating Mayu Iwatani and Ren Kadokura, who also have 7. But I guess since Azumi and Momo Watanabe won their match, and the other 7 team had lost by DQ, the final match was Hazuki and Kaguma defeating Azumi and Momo Watanabe to become Tag League champions, and they got rings. So MJF, watch out. There's 2 people out there with diamond rings. And Hazuki will kick your head off. As I said before, New Japan Tag League started. In one of the matches, it was Taichi and Zack Sabre Jr. Defeating Minoru Suzuki and Taka Michinoku. So it looks like the Suzuki tour has ended as he is back in Japan. I'm sure it was fun by all, and I'm sure he'll be back pretty soon. Back here in the States, we have World Wrestling Network Super Show Battle of the Belts 2021. So they also go with Battle of the Belts for their show. This was on WWN Live. For the FIP Florida Heritage title, Anthony Green defeated champion Troy Hollywood to become champion. For the FIP World Heavyweight title, Kareem defeated champion John Davis to become new champion. For the Shine Tag titles, Allison Kay and Marty Bell defeated champions Kimberly and Stormy Lee to become new champions there. And for the FIP Tag titles, in a 4-way match, Xhaka and Sean Maluda defeated champions Adrian Alanis and Liam Gray, Hunter Law, Snoop Strikes, and Nino Cruz and Steve Pena to become new champions there as well. And finally there, for the Shine title, Natalie Markova defeated champion Eva Lees to become new champion. So all new champions, pretty much all new champions there for them. Pro Wrestling Magic Underdogs from Ridgefield Park, New Jersey on IWTV. Buddy Matthews defeated AC Romero. That's all from that really show. First Wrestling Unleashed from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Nice to see them back in action. In a no DQ match, Darren Corbin defeated Effie. For the First Wrestling Uptown VFW title. Devin Monroe defeated champion Eric Cannon to become the champion. In a 4-way match, Sky Blue defeated Brooke Valentine. Free Range Kara and Heather Reckless. So nice to see Sky win a match there. And then Christopher Daniels made an appearance defeating Arya Daivari. So Daivari's made his rounds already in the Indies. So nice to see that for him. Speaking of Christopher Daniels, he will be at the New Japan show coming up in December as well, as he was called up by Jay White. So that should be a fun and interesting match there. And then to Chaotic Wrestling, the Balance of Power from Watertown, Mass. You can find them on Twitch TV, so check that out. For the CW Pan Optic title, number 1 contendership battle royal, Anthony Green won that. Ricky Smokes defeated Dirty Dango. For that Pan Optic title, champion Becca defeated Anthony Green. And then for the New England title, champion Brad Cashew defeated Eddie Edwards. On to Tuesday, November 16th, in Tokyo Pro. Hikari Noah defeated Moko Miyamoto. Hyper Masao defeated Hirono Neko and Suzumi. Naka Tenma defeated Pam Harajuku. Miyo Watanabe and Rika Tatsumi defeated Marika Kobashi and Yuki Aino. In 6-woman tag, Mizuki and Yuka Sakazaki team with Raku to defeat Mihiro Kiru, Maki Ito, and Yuki Kamafuku. So I'm guessing we all know who got that pin on that. Then we had Miyu Yamashita and Yuki Arai defeated Urushu Endo and Soka Nakajima. Nice to see them pushing Yuka just a little bit there. And then we don't go down to CLLL in Mexico for their Tuesday Arena Mexico show. And the Mexican National Women's title, Dark Saluda defeated champion Rina Isis to become new champion. To Thursday, November 18th, East Coast Pro Wrestling and Outlaw Wrestling Championship Tournament from Ridgewood, New York. A couple of second round matches. Mercedes Martinez defeated Tino San Antonio. And Homicide defeated Tommy Dreamer. So that had to be pretty cool there. For the Outlaw Wrestling title final 4-way match, it was O'Shea Edwards eliminated Rick Swan and Mercedes Martinez, and then Homicide defeating O'Shea Edwards to become new champion. Beyond Uncharted Territory, Season 3, Episode 7, on IWTV from Worcester, Mass. Layla Hirsch defeated Masa Slamovich, an outstanding opening match there. Alec Price defeated Tracy Williams, tapping him out of all things. And then Wheeler Yuta defeated the despicable Max Caster. Check that match out if you wish. He kicked the ring announcer pretty low and just bad mouthing everyone around the arena, and just I'm glad Wheeler Yuta pretty much knocked him, beat him up pretty well. To Friday, November 19th, here in Chicago, Illinois, at the Logan Tour Auditorium, Freelance had their Purple Poppies Big Birthday Blowout on IWTV. It was opening the match. It was a 5-way She-Lance Grandma match with Misa Kate defeating Blair Onyx, Guerrero de Brisenes, Laney Luck, and a surprise Kylie Ray. Of all things, she looked back healthy and happy, good shape, so hopefully all is well with Kylie. Misa stole the win as Kylie had Laney in the charity case chinlock, rolling her up for the win. So, nice to see Kylie back in action. Like I said, hope all is well. I'm happy to see her back. And of course, nothing was wrong with her legs, so it seems like nothing happened, right? To the Freelance World Title Tournament semifinal match, Craig Mitchell defeated GPA. Dan the Dad and Warhorse, who was filling in for Danhausen, of course, defeated Cole Radrick and Sage Phillips. Storm Grayson defeated Jordan Oliver in what I thought was the match of the week. They did pretty well. After that match, Matt Nix came out to thank the crowd for coming and for his birthday. The crowd sang happy birthday until someone in a purple puff suit, looking like Grimace, low-blowed him. It turned out to be none other than Trevor Outlaw, being the jerk that he is in freelance. Moving on, we had Angel Escalera and Aga Matthews and Davey Bang defeated Bucky Collins and Darren Corbin. And in the main event for the Freelance World Title Tournament semifinal match, it was Robert Anthony and Frank the Clown defeating Effie because it was a no DQ match, and Effie wanted to beat up both. He did, but it was just too much, and Anthony pulled out the victory after his Mandalorian driver and putting on the charity case to tap out Effie. What a despicable human being he is as well. Down to Mexico, NCLLL. A couple matches. We had Gran Guerrero and Ultimo Guerrero with Rey Bucanero defeating Atlantis Stuka Jr. and Titan. And we had Jeff Cobb and TJP make their appearance, defeating Atlantis Jr. and Valador Jr. So that had to be pretty cool. Finally, Saturday, November 20th, Tokyo's Pro, It's Time to Go. This was about the same time as Rampage, so this was fun watching both shows at the same time, as well as the freelance show. Gotta love wrestling, right? Yuki Aino defeated Moko Miyamoto. Rika Kobashi defeated Mihiro Kiru and Pam Hirajuku. Hyper Masao defeated Ushu Endo. Raku and Yuki Kamfuku defeated Hiro Neko and Suzumi. And then there was a 10-woman tag, which was very interesting to watch, as Maki Ito, Miya Yamashita, Miya Watanabe, Nodeka Tenma, and Yuki Arai defeated Mizuki, Yuka Sakazaki, Akari Noa, Rika Tatsumi, and Soka Nakajima, with Tenma pinning Shoka of all things, so only time will tell how those pan out. One final note, I was able to see that GCW announced that they will be holding an Independent Wrestling Hall of Fame ceremony on January 22nd, so stay tuned for further details, because that is very cool in my books. Can't wait to see who they induct first for independent wrestling, right? That's a wrap for me. Till next time with more show results and recaps. Don't forget to keep enjoying Wrestling World how you like it, wherever you can watch or listen. Thank you for watching or listening. Hope you enjoyed the cut. Keep safe. Take care. Be kind to everyone. Have a happy Thanksgiving. And back to you, Tom.
All right, thank you once again, Charlie. So let's keep rolling right along here. Let's find out who I think had the strongest showing of the week, and we're going to do that in the top 5. First up on the top 5, Jacob Fatu. Like I said earlier, Contra Unit kind of blowing up at the end of the War Chamber match, and Jacob Fatu just decimating every member of Contra Unit that was in arm's reach of him. So it looks like he's going to be striking out on his own. Jacob Fatu, if you have not watched MLW, if you're not familiar with Jacob Fatu, go check it out. All the episodes are on YouTube. Just Google up Jacob Fatu. Watch some of his matches. Watch the things that this guy can do. And, he's been a part of Contra Unit for a long time. He was the MLW World Heavyweight Champion for like 2+ years. And, he's a phenomenal athlete. And for a guy his size, he is part of the Samoan Dynasty. And for a guy his size, the way that he can move around, the things he can do in the ring is just amazing. How WWE hasn't scooped him up to be a part of the bloodline or whatever, or maybe they've tried and maybe he turned them down, who knows. But Jacob Fatu, definitely give him a look if you're not familiar with him. Next up on the top 5, Sammy Guevara. I talked about in the match of the week, him against Jay Lethal. Sammy Guevara, definitely one of the the pillars of AEW that MJF likes to talk about. He talks about himself, Darby Allin, Jungle Boy. I'm pretty sure Sammy Guevara was the 4th one. But anyway, he's definitely one that is going to, the future of AEW is going to be built on on his shoulders. He is one of the ones who's going to carry AEW. Got MLW on the brain today. Sammy Guevara is one of the ones who will carry AEW into the future. Third on the top 5, Jonah, like I said, made his debut at Impact and made an impact in his debut. Like I said, beat the crap out of Josh Alexander. Number 4, CM Punk with his silent confrontation of MJF. Like I said, spoke volumes without saying a word, so I can't wait to see how that rivalry plays out. And number 5, or number 1, or however you want to count it, Roman Reigns. I mean, like it or not, he is the top guy in WWE, and they have him positioned very well. I mean, I think Roman Reigns right now is one of the few things that WWE is doing right. You know, I mean, people have been clamoring for years for Roman to turn heel, and they finally did it, and it works, and he's good at it. So, you know, I got to give the devil their due with that one. Like I said, Roman Reigns, one of the few things that WWE is doing right now. So, next up on the show, I get to play Armchair Promoter, and I always do that in the Fantasy Booker. So this week on the Fantasy Booker, we got us a tag team match between, in my opinion, 2 of the best tag teams in the world. And if you disagree, I have to question your wrestling knowledge. I'm sorry, I just have to. But I'm talking about the Briscoe brothers, and I'm not talking about Jack and Jerry. I'm talking about Jay and Mark taking on FTR. Now, with the recent news about Ring of Honor not really shutting down, but going on hiatus and releasing everybody from their contracts, this is something that could happen. I mean, the Briscoes, I think, would be a damn good addition to the AEW tag team roster. And, you know, this is a match I think fans would go crazy for. So, I mean, you know, the FTR, very traditional, old school type tag team. The Briscoes, they're brawlers. They got some high flying elements too, and just mainstays in Ring of Honor. They're 9, 10 time tag team champions in Ring of Honor. The Briscoe brothers are Ring of Honor. Let's be real here. The Briscoe brothers are the greatest tag team in the history of Ring of Honor. So I would love to see them take on FTR. I think it'd be just an amazing kind of clash of styles, but I think they would complement each other so well because they are such great teams. So, yeah, that's my Fantasy Booker for this week. I want to see the Briscoes versus FTR. Tony Khan, if you're listening, make it happen. Come on. People want to see this. So, yeah, Briscoes and FTR. So let's get into the last segment of the show here where I kind of spout off an opinion that may not be so popular, and I don't think this week is going to be any exception, and that is the weekly hot take. So, the weekly hot take for this week. Vince McMahon is God. And I don't say that in a good way, in a complimentary way. Vince McMahon has the worst God complex of anybody I've ever seen. I don't care if I don't know him, I've never met him. People are going to argue with me and say I don't know what I'm talking about. Fuck off. Vince McMahon has the worst God complex of anybody I've ever seen. You want to know why? Because, and this is just from judging from his actions, because nothing happens in WWE without Vince's okay. Okay, so it all comes down to Vince. If it is not in his image, he doesn't want it. If it's not his creation, he doesn't want it. WWE, Vince McMahon, are constantly trying to fix things that are not broken, trying to make it their own, because if something is getting over that they didn't create, it gets shot down, it gets buried, it gets killed. Okay, the only exception to that in recent memory is Bryan Danielson with the Yes Movement, when the fans basically revolted against WWE to the point where they did not give them a choice but to push Bryan Danielson to the world title. And what happened when they did? Immediately after he won that title, it just started downhill. You know, he didn't hold the title for very long, and because that wasn't the WWE's plan, that wasn't Vince's plan. Look at Killer Cross. Over like crazy in NXT. Didn't need any weird, crazy gimmicks or helmets or gear or any of the crap that they saddled him with on Monday Night Raw. Had one of the best entrances in WWE, and working with Scarlett complemented him so well. And they bring him up to Raw, they get rid of Scarlett, they put this ridiculous looking gladiator, whatever the hell it was, gimmick on him, and it killed him. Killed any momentum he had. Went undefeated in NXT. What happens? He debuts on Raw, he loses his first match. They stripped away everything from him, and it didn't work, and now he's been released, and you know what? That's probably the best thing that could have happened to him. You know, and these are just, that's just one example of, you know, if it's not in Vince's image, if it's not something Vince created, if it's not to his liking, to his personal taste, he doesn't want it. He doesn't. I'm sorry. People are going to argue with this till they're blue in the face, and I don't care, because you're not going to convince me otherwise. Vince McMahon is clueless and doesn't give a shit what the fans think. Doesn't give a damn, because he knows they're still going to watch. He knows they're still going to buy tickets. He knows they're still going to buy merchandise and toys and t-shirts and whatever else they throw out there. So Vince doesn't give a damn about the audience. And nobody can convince me otherwise. If you listen to Bruce Pritchard talk, Vince McMahon is the biggest genius ever in the history of the business. And I give Vince his props. I have nothing but respect for Vince as a businessman, because he is a very shrewd and aggressive and cutthroat businessman. He wouldn't be where he is today if he wasn't. And yes, he is a genius as far as business goes. Just from, look at the deals that he's made and the millions and billions of dollars that the company has made under his direction in the last, 40 years, 35, 40 years, whatever it's been. But it's gotten to the point where he doesn't give a damn about what the audience wants anymore, and now, and I think it was Bully Ray and Dave LaGreca on Busted Open that were talking about this recently. It seems like WWE is more concerned about gearing stuff towards kids, kind of the way it was in the 80s. It's like they're circling back to, wanting those characters that they can get the action figures for, and that, the kids will pester their parents, oh, buy tickets, I want to go see, Nikki ASH, or I want to see, whatever other character there is that's appealing to, to the younger kids that they want the toys for and the t-shirts for, and they'll splatter in a little bit of stuff for adults, but, just to kind of keep their interest a little bit. But, yeah, I mean, Vince doesn't give a damn about a wrestling audience anymore. Vince is no longer a wrestling promoter. Hasn't been for a long time. And again, if it's not in his image, if it's not to his personal liking and taste, he doesn't want it. Hit Row was over. Vince probably didn't get it, so they're gone. Killer Cross was over like crazy, and they had to kill it because Vince didn't create it. So they had to change it to something that Vince did create or something that Vince did like. I mean, I don't get it, really. You'd think in a business like pro wrestling or sports entertainment, you want to please your audience and not piss them off, but again, I don't think Vince cares, because people are still going to buy the tickets, they're still going to watch Raw. Vince cares more about advertisers and marketing deals and that kind of thing than he does about if his fans are happy. And again, that goes back to him being a very shrewd, very smart, and a very cutthroat businessman. You know, the upside of this is when people like John Morrison and Swerve Scott and Tegan Knox and Shane Thorne get released, that means they're out there for companies like MLW and Impact and AEW or New Japan or AAA or whatever for those companies to pick up. Because I guarantee you John Morrison is going to land somewhere. So is Taya Valkyrie. It wouldn't surprise me to see one or both of them pop back up in Mexico sooner rather than later, or back on Impact, or in AEW. I want to see John Morrison in AEW just so he can use the name Johnny Elite. That's the only reason I want to see him there. Plus, he could have some damn good matches with some of those guys. Can you imagine John Morrison in the ring with, say, Darby Allin? Jesus Christ. So, I'm sure all of these wrestlers are going to be fine. But that's my rant for this week. Vince McMahon has the worst God complex of anybody I've ever seen in my life, and nobody can tell me any different. So that is going to wrap up the show for this week. And once again, I want to thank everybody for watching, listening, and subscribing on YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts from. Make sure to check out CatchHookShoot.com for all the cool stuff that we got there. Head to ProWrestlingTees.com/CatchHookShoot for your t-shirt needs. And you can find all that and a whole lot more at Linktree/CatchHookShoot, or you can scan the little QR code right here in the corner. If you're watching on YouTube, that'll get you links to everything, every platform that the show is on, and all other kinds of stuff. So check that out too. And if you want to shoot me an email, it's catchhookshoot@gmail.com. So with that, I'm going to wrap things up. Hope everybody has had a great week. Hope everybody has a fantastic Thanksgiving coming up. Enjoy the time with your family. Enjoy time off from work, hopefully. I know I'm going to. So, but yeah, have a great Thanksgiving holiday. To have a great week overall. Enjoy all the great wrestling coming up this week, and I will talk to you guys soon.